Who were the Gnostics? Have you ever pondered over this question? Today we're delving into the enigmatic world of Gnosticism, a captivating facet of religious history. Originating in the late 1st century AD, Gnosticism is not a single belief system but a collection of religious ideas and systems. These ideas bubbled to the surface of history among Jewish and early Christian sects, adding a layer of complexity to an already diverse spiritual landscape. Gnosticism, a term derived from the Greek word gnosis, meaning knowledge, was not just about knowing God, but experiencing God. These ancient thinkers and believers sought a deep personal understanding of the divine, a spiritual wisdom that transcended traditional religious teachings. This quest for divine knowledge, for an experiential understanding of God, is the cornerstone of Gnosticism. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the fascinating world of the Gnostics. Together we'll explore their beliefs, practices, scriptures, and the diverse sects that arose from this intricate spiritual tapestry. What did the Gnostics believe in? What were their practices? Let's delve into the mystical world of Gnostic beliefs and practices. At the heart of Gnosticism was the concept of gnosis, or knowledge, but this wasn't ordinary knowledge, it was a profound mystical understanding of the divine. Gnostics believed that through this special knowledge they could achieve spiritual enlightenment and ultimately salvation. Now here's where things get interesting. Unlike mainstream Christianity of the era, which viewed the spiritual and material worlds as interrelated, Gnostics held a distinctly dualistic viewpoint. They saw the material world as fundamentally flawed and imperfect, a place of suffering and illusion. The spiritual world, on the other hand, was pure, perfect, and the true home of the divine spark within each of us. It was through gnosis that one could transcend the material world and reach the spiritual realm. Salvation for the Gnostics was a deeply personal journey. It wasn't about adherence to religious law or ritual but about the pursuit of gnosis. Gnostics believed that through meditation, contemplation, and introspection they could awaken the divine spark within, escape the material world, and return to the spiritual realm. But how did they actually practice these beliefs? Well, Gnostic practices varied widely from group to group and even from individual to individual. Some Gnostics led ascetic lives, renouncing worldly pleasures in a bid to transcend the material world. Others embraced the material world as a means to spiritual enlightenment, engaging in sensual experiences as a form of mystical exploration. These beliefs and practices were radical, even revolutionary for their time. They challenged the orthodox views of the material world, the nature of the divine, and the path to salvation. They offered a different way to understand and experience the divine, a way that was deeply personal and profoundly mystical. These beliefs and practices set the Gnostics apart, but they also brought them into conflict with other religious groups. Ever heard of the Gnostic Scriptures? They tell a fascinating story. These scriptures, you see, are not your everyday religious texts. They are a collection of writings, many of them found in the mid-20th century at a place called Nag Hammadi in Egypt. This discovery, often referred to as the Nag Hammadi Library, has been a goldmine for scholars studying Gnosticism. The Gnostic Scriptures are a treasure trove of ancient wisdom, filled with narratives that challenge our preconceived ideas about spirituality and the nature of the divine. These texts, written in Coptic, are thought to be translations of even older Greek texts. They include gospels, poems, myths, and treatises, many of them offering alternative perspectives on Christian themes. One of the most famous of these is the Gospel of Thomas, a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus. Unlike the canonical Gospels, it doesn't tell a narrative of Jesus' life, but rather presents a series of cryptic and often paradoxical sayings. These sayings, the Gnostics believed, held the key to a higher form of knowledge, or gnosis. Then there's the Secret Book of John, which offers a completely different creation story from the one we're used to. In this version, the creator is not a benevolent God, but a flawed being known as the demiurge, who brings the physical world into existence as a result of his ignorance. What's interesting about the Gnostic Scriptures is not just their content, but the fact that they were hidden, presumably to keep them safe from the opponents of Gnosticism. They were buried in jars in the desert, waiting to be discovered centuries later. These scriptures offer a unique glimpse into the spiritual world of the Gnostics. They reveal a group of people who valued knowledge over faith, who saw the divine not as an external entity, but as an inner light. And while their views may have been deemed heretical by mainstream Christianity, their writings continue to inspire and intrigue us today. Not all Gnostics were the same. There were many different sects. Diversification is a natural part of any belief system, and Gnosticism was no different. Let's delve into some of the most prominent sects: the Sethians, Valentinians, and Marcionites. Starting with the Sethians, this group held a unique place in Gnostic thought. They revered Seth, the third son of Adam and Eve, as a spiritual ancestor. Sethians saw themselves as the spiritual successors of Seth, who they believed received secret knowledge directly from God. This knowledge, they held, was passed down through generations, offering a distinct path to salvation. Turning to the Valentinians, we find a sect that was perhaps the most influential in shaping Gnostic thought. Named after their founder Valentinus, the Valentinians believed in a complex system of divine emanations. This was a mystical hierarchy of divine beings, known as eons, who were born from the ultimate reality or the pleroma. Unlike the Sethians, who saw salvation as a birthright, the Valentinians believed that only a select few could attain gnosis, and thus, salvation. Finally, let's consider the Marcionites, founded by Marcion of Sinope. This sect rejected the Old Testament entirely, arguing that the God of the Hebrew Bible was not the true God but a lesser divine entity they dubbed the Demiurge. They held that Jesus was sent by a higher God to reveal the truth and free humanity from the Demiurge's influence. These sects, each with their unique beliefs and interpretations, painted a rich and diverse picture of Gnosticism. But what's fascinating is that despite their differences, they were all bound together by the pursuit of gnosis. This pursuit, the desire for a direct personal experience of the divine, was the common thread that wove through the tapestry of Gnostic sects. Regardless of whether they were Sethians, Valentinians, or Marcionites, Gnostics sought to transcend the material world and connect with a higher spiritual reality. And that, in essence, was what Gnosticism was all about. Despite their differences, these sects all shared a common thread: the pursuit of gnosis. Gnosticism didn't last forever. What led to its decline? As we delve into the twilight of this spiritual movement, it's essential to note that the decline of Gnosticism was not a simple one-dimensional event. It was a complex interplay of societal, political, and religious factors that gradually pushed Gnosticism out of the mainstream and into the annals of history. A key factor in this decline was the rise of Orthodox Christianity. In the early centuries AD, Christianity was a diverse movement with numerous sects and interpretations. However, by the 4th century, a more standardized or orthodox version of Christianity began to take hold. This orthodoxy was bolstered by the support of the Roman Empire, which had adopted Christianity as its official religion. The Orthodox Church sought to consolidate its power and establish a unified set of beliefs. Gnosticism, with its esoteric teachings and emphasis on personal spiritual knowledge, was seen as a threat to this unity. As such, Gnostic texts were deemed heretical and suppressed. Gnostic teachings were denounced from the pulpit, their scriptures were burned, and their followers were often persecuted. Another contributing factor was the inherent nature of Gnosticism itself. Gnosticism was not a centralized religion with a clear hierarchy or structure. It was a loose collection of sects and beliefs, each with its interpretation of the Gnostic teachings. This lack of unity made it easier for the Orthodox Church to suppress Gnostic sects one by one. Furthermore, the Gnostic belief in the direct, personal experience of divine knowledge was at odds with the Orthodox Church's emphasis on communal worship and adherence to a prescribed set of doctrines. This fundamental difference in religious practice and philosophy may have made Gnosticism less appealing to the masses, contributing to its decline. So, while Gnosticism may have faded from the limelight, it was never completely extinguished. Gnostic texts continued to be written and read in secret, their ideas passed down through the centuries. The echoes of Gnosticism can still be heard today in various spiritual movements and philosophical debates. By the end of the 3rd century AD, Gnosticism had largely disappeared, but its legacy lives on. So, who were the Gnostics? These seekers of knowledge, these ancient philosophers, they were a group unlike any other. They were the Gnostics, defined by their unique beliefs and practices. Their spiritual journey was guided by their distinct scriptures, written texts that provided them with profound insights into the nature of the universe and the human soul. The Gnostics were not a monolithic group, but a diverse collection of sects, each with their own interpretations and practices. Despite their differences, they all shared a common quest for knowledge and understanding. However, the winds of time were not kind to Gnosticism. It gradually declined, overshadowed by other spiritual movements and philosophies. But even in decline, the Gnostics left an indelible mark on the history of human thought. The Gnostics may be gone, but their ideas continue to intrigue and inspire us. Until next time, keep exploring the past to understand the present.